Devlin, Untamed.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin, Lachlan Waugh, iOS, It's Only Sport. This is the highlights of our show today, which aired live on the platform, 1 till 4 p.m. We do a sports show. It's only sport. And today, talking about the cricket. No question about it. We blew it, we had it, we threw it. Simon Doull on the podcast. 98 test wickets for New Zealand. Spends his whole life travelling the world, calling and commentating cricket. As well as that, the Daryl Mitchell thing. Did Daryl really mean it when he said results and outcomes aren't that important? Or is it simply because he's been straitjacketed by New Zealand cricket so much? It's just an automatic answer these days. I really like Daryl. Simon with his thoughts on all of that. Spencer Leniu cops an 8-week suspension for his racial insult aimed at Ezra Mann. Is this too harsh from the NRL, or is it them simply drawing a line in the sand? Brad Walter, NRL.com, was at the judicial hearing. Matt Walsh, Breakers owner, reflecting on the season, letting us know how he plans to get the Breakers back to the ANBL finals. Another day, another NZR AGM. I know you're rolling your eyes. Look, this time it's about the provincial unions becoming the Christmas turkeys. Are they going to vote themselves out of existence? Mark Watson, the ATM podcast number 74. LBP, let's be positive. So much sport to talk. And we start the show the same way every single day. Tablets in hand, I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. Black Caps, you blew it! Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Damn it! Damn it! Should have won that, Black Caps. Shoulda, coulda, didn't. That was an opportunity lost, all right? Make no mistake about that. Australia, this particular Australian side were there for the taking in both tests. Not just one, but both. This Aussie side is absolutely beatable. Under pressure, they fold like every other team in the world. This halo around their heads, this scary beast monster that everyone is afraid of, that's a myth. Yes, they have a superb bowling attack, but their batting is fragile. It is brittle, like every other team in the world, and we simply failed to take advantage. Sharma Joseph showed the West Indies and the cricketing world that if you bowl fast, straight, you make them play, they will make mistakes like everyone else. Take off Green's 174 not out in Wellington, and that test was almost exactly even. Ravinder dropping Marsh on naught yesterday. The test could have probably gone New Zealand's way. These are the kind of margins. I'm not just saying that we should have drawn the series. I'm saying that we could have easily won the series. If only, if, buts, maybes, if, your auntie was an uncle, she'd have a moustache, all that kind of stuff. I know. Our bowling selections cost us, no question. 4 right-hand seamers and 2 of them medium pace at best, no variation. That selectorial pig-headedness is impossible to understand. Batting-wise, we were also brittle, lacking partnerships. 1 good innings in Christchurch over 2 tests isn't enough. We were 104 for 8 in that first knock, all out 162. It is rare. It is very rare to win any test match when you bottle one of your at-bats like that. But after all of that, we still could have won, and that's the frustrating thing. We have blown a golden opportunity here, and who knows when or if we're ever going to get another. The big bogey man called Australian cricket versus us. I'm sorry, that's just a wicket or 2, a drop catch, and a batting partnership away from being completely blown out of the water. Yes, they beat us 2-0. Truth is, though, they actually aren't that much better. And that, so frustrating, is the absolute killer.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
We'll kick it off with the cricket. Dooley's waiting. All right, Lachlan, what do we got? Headlines. Sports.
Well, I was going to talk about Spencer Leniu, but you've talked a lot about it, so I guess I can't.
Well, what do you think, mate?
More. I'm stoked. I think it should be longer. I
Kemby thinks the same thing. Kemby texted me earlier and he said it should have been 3 months. I accept 8 weeks. I think 8 weeks is good. 8 weeks also says to every other player, doesn't it? Guess what, dickhead? Do the same again.
Yeah. I look...
And I like Jonathan Thurston's comments where he said it's actually a societal comment made by the NRL as well. It's not acceptable anymore. It's as simple as that. All right, keep going. Sorry, mate, don't interrupt.
No, I wish it was longer. The reason is because there's no defending of it. It is clearly a racial term directed towards Ezra Mann. His defence is wrong. terms of suggesting that, it's what people, stuff we say on the field.
Well, okay, go back to the All Whites walking off the field last year, right? And the defender, who were we playing? Bahrain or somebody? I can't even remember. Qatar, okay. And the guy that said the N-word said, that's how we just talk to each other. Hey, in there. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So, no, I'm stoked with it. I wish it was longer. I really do. Cricket news. Tim Southey concedes he's not sure if he'll lead the Black Caps in their next Test series later this year. Southey was asked about his place in the Test side, and he gave no certainty of it. This is what he had to say. We'll see. We go to Asia, and the makeup of the side changes slightly, with spin becoming the main threat in that part of the world. We'll see when we get there. We'll deal with this tonight. This was obviously talking last night. And then look to move forward to what's to come later. Now, I think the Black Caps next test series, is in July against Afghanistan or something, or Saudi Arabia or something, isn't it?
Well, the big tournament we play next is the T20. That's on at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me look that up while you're
why don't you look it up? Make yourself useful. Boxing, Joseph Parker looks all set to face Zhilei Zhang once again after the Chinese boxer confirmed he wants to go again following his defeat over the weekend. Jeez, there's a great nickname for Zhilei Zhang. I can't remember what it is, but my flatmate told me because he loves his boxing.
Well, that's no good to tell us that you're great and you don't know.
I'll message him now. What was that nickname for Zhilei Zhang that you brought up? Zhilei Zhang. Premier League this morning, a pretty entertaining Premier League match on between Chelsea and Newcastle at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea winning 3-2. Cole Palmer had a blinder of a game, according to this article. Team New Zealand great Glenn Ashby will make an unexpected return to the America's Cup, but with a rival boat. That rival being French challenger Orient Express Racing. He's going there in an advisory role for this year's Cup campaign in Barcelona. Here is an interesting story, and this aligns with something that I think we both predicted would happen at some point. The 2026 Commonwealth Games could be staged in Malaysia after the country's Olympic Council said they were offered money to assist with hosting. This is a direct quote from the Olympic Council of Malaysia website. The Commonwealth Games Federation has offered Malaysia the opportunity to replace Victoria as host of the Commonwealth Games in 2026. The amount, £100 million, $207 million US.
It's going to cost $6 billion. Where's the other 5.9?
But this is exactly what we said not so long ago when I think Victoria might have been when the Gold Coast were like the third or fourth one to say we're not doing it. It's to say they're going to go around places and say, please host it. Here's money. Please host it.
If I'm Malaysia, I take it. I say, yeah. And then 6 months later just say...
I'll tell you would do it for double that.
No, I'd take the money and I'd use that as a feasibility study and then I'd say, in the end it's going to cost too much. Yeah, can't do it. Pocket $100 million. If you're that stupid that you give us $100 million.
They'd have to give the money back,
Boy, really? Who to? And what say they didn't? They get kicked out of the next Commonwealth Games. That don't happen.
I actually didn't know there was a Commonwealth Games Olympic type committee. I thought they just all worked under the IOC.
Two separate organisations.
Yeah, but I know. But I'm saying I thought they were... Okay, you offered nothing to that comment I made. Jeez, what was the point in saying that?
Devlin.
You've gotta love sport.
The platform.
The Black Caps. That was our series to win. Not just one test, both tests. Opportunities in both. Had the Aussies on the rack, had them on the ropes, couldn't shut the door. Why not? Is it a mental block or is it simply that they're better than us? What about our bowling selections? Tim Southey should have remained as captain. Gary Stead as coach. All of these questions. Simon Doull is our go-to expert. Dooley, mate, I'm just, I'm gutted. I'm disappointed because I feel that whole series was there for the taking. I know it's moments, and I know you can always talk about, well, we didn't capitalise on those moments. But you've played Australia. You know what it's like. Those are the margins, aren't they? They're so fine. And if you go through, and analyse both Test matches and batting and bowling performances, I think we could have won both of those tests.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. There were times in both games, particularly in that last game, where we were well and truly in the game. There were times we were behind the game. You get bowled out for 160 and you give yourselves a chance to win a test match still on the fourth day is quite an incredible achievement effort. But we were, I think, well and truly in front of that game at different stages. Not so much in the first test match, but there were moments, opportunities, and like Australia do time and time again, they sort of won those moments and New Zealand lost those moments. And I think that's what it boils down to at the end, I think.
What is it about them? Because we've got to praise them. And I've watched so much Australian cricket where you think they're down and out. I mean, even when you go back to the One Day Cricket World Cup final, so many individual matches where one of their guys will do it. And it was Green in Wellington. It was Mitchell Marsh who got dropped, and obviously Ravindra is going to kick himself forever for that. But he ends up, pulling 80 out. Carey hadn't had a bat. He ends up batting well for them yesterday. What is it about them that every single game it appears one of their guys at least will do something like that?
Yeah, I think the belief in that team, they seem to have a very good outfit in and around Pat Cummins and what Andrew McDonald is sort of doing with that side now. They know that New Zealand will probably falter. That's always been the case. I think with the New Zealand-Australia situation, that's probably the case when I played as well. And, they probably just feel that if they hang in there long enough, New Zealand will falter and they will fall and they'll find a way to get over the top of them. They have that inherent belief that they're good enough, whether they are playing well or not, whether they're in form or not, they still have that inherent belief that they are good enough. And I think that makes a massive difference when you walk into that change room or when you walk out onto the field against an opposition that don't beat you, very rarely ever beat you, and will probably fold if we put them under pressure.
Just listening to that, Justin Marshall said something almost exactly word for word on Monday about when the All Blacks played the Wallabies. How much of that is mental? Because it's so intangible and undefined, but that's what you're saying, isn't it? You're saying it's belief, it's top 2 inches.
Yeah, absolutely, which so much of sport is. Belief in your own ability, belief in the guy at the other end, belief in the fact that if you hang tough, if you hang in there for long enough, they will be the side under pressure. And it's been proven time and time again. It was proven time and time again when I played against Australia. So, it's not a new thing. It is something that has been around for a long, long time. What is it, 2011 since we last beat them in any, in a test match in 93. I think I played that one when Chill Blaine was batting at the end, maybe with Ken Rutherford, was it? Or
it was
something
Rutherford,
along those lines?
Yeah, it was Ruds, yeah.
Yeah, in 93. So, that's how long it has been between drinks. And unfortunately, it's going to have to wait a few more years.
When you mentioned that and, the fact that these matches, these wins are so historic, and it would have been, the first, as you say, in well over a decade, and the first in 30 years at home. It's incredible to me then, listening to what Daryl Mitchell had to say to Smithy and Coney afterwards about saying that this team's not defined by results and outcomes. It's defined by, playing great cricket and the kids want to watch it, all of that kind of stuff. A couple of things here. I absolutely love Daryl Mitchell. I want him to be the New Zealand captain. New Zealand cricket have straitjacketed our players so much that it's almost pre-programmed responses. What I want to hear from Daryl in those situations, and I'm not having a crack at him because I do love this guy, is that I want to hear him saying he's absolutely gutted, he's spewing. We had that and we threw it away. This one's going to take a while to get over. I'm wondering, Simon, because it's easy to heap on him right now when you read those comments. I'm wondering whether that's how he felt inside, but they've just been so bloody PR'd and pre-programmed that it's almost like a preconditioned response. I'm going into bat for him on this. Yeah,
I think he's worried about being honest. And that's sad because I'm with you. I think Daryl Mitchell is a terrific cricketer, a damn good human being. I think he'd make a great captain. And I think he is all about team first. He's all about that silver fern. And he is an absolute champion. And he's been, New Zealand's best batter for the last 3.5 years. And to hear those comments, I don't think that's him.
No, I didn't think so.
And I think
either,
you're right. I think that's just media
overtraining. Overtraining.
You're not defined by your results, but you are judged. You are judged on your results. I mean, maybe there's a slight variation in that. You can be defined by the way you play and by the way you approach the game and all those things. But at the end of the day, you are judged on your results. You're judged on winning and losing. So defined and judging might be slightly two different things that he may have felt he was talking about something slightly different, whether they're defined as in whether it's results or not. But, I mean, you are judged on your results.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Avonlea Hurricanes boss talking to us last week.
I was only made aware of it yesterday afternoon. I guess my view or our view is that, we totally respect individual views, but we are disappointed with some of the words that we used and the fact that
was the first haka, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I don't want to talk about this. The last thing I want to talk about, but I just want to wrap it up with a big bow, okay? It has fast become, for me, just a yawn-fest clickbait media story, the Hurricanes Poua thing. The headlines deliberately provocative, the storytelling deliberately divisive, because that's what mainstream media is all about. It's clickbait. They see clicks as winning. They see clicks as a determinant to commercial success. But no, what they fail to realise, News Hub, TVNZ, Today FM, Stuff will be next. This style and dedication to sensationalist, married at first sight style so-called journalism is one of the big reasons why these places are going out of business. Was the new reformed haka another attack on the government? No, say the players. Apparently it was all around the interpretation or misinterpretation of the words. Whatever. To me, what this is all about is in fact respect, and a complete lack of respect for the guy you just heard from. It's an employment issue. You weren't told. The CEO, Avonlea, kindly, respectfully asked you to please stand down. That's not to do anything like you did the previous week. So instead, what'd you do? You gave him the finger. We're empowered. We're strong women. We have a voice and we're going to use it. And in doing so, demonstrated behaviour that is nothing but selfish, self-centred, self-entitled, publicly telling your CEO to F off in no uncertain terms. We don't care what you think, Avon. That's what you said. Now, forget the PR schmuck fest statement from Hurricanes and NZR where everyone was on the same page, blah, blah. I was mistakenly sent that statement with the preamble attached, which says, are we all on the same page now? Are we all happy? Question mark, question mark. Final draft. What that means in my business is that the PR guff was there to cover butts. We have to be seen to be in agreeance, which of course they aren't. Hurricanes management privately, I know, is gutted. The players, a lot of them are privately gutted. A lot of people from NZR are privately gutted, embarrassed by a group of players who care for no one but themselves. So good luck with this Hurricanes Poua player political stance. For you and your tiny group of sycophantic supporters, you think you're winning, you're not. What in fact you're doing is you are turning away every potential sponsor or spender or investor that could be giving you money to play. And you need their money because you don't have a game without it. Everyone now knows that you have no respect for anyone in authority. You don't have respect for your CEO. You don't have respect for anybody. It is just entirely about you. So my advice to the Hurricanes Poua is I want you to continue doing this. I want you to triple down this weekend. I want you to stick the finger up and tell all of us that we're white supremacists. Keep doing it. Keep doing it, because all you're doing is slamming the door shut on your own sport that no one cares about anyway. It has become a circus, hasn't it? Spencer Leniu. His name will now forever be associated with racially insulting Ezra Mam on the rugby league field. He's copped an 8-week suspension for it, almost a third of the season. And his defence was that it's kind of okay because I'm a brown guy racially insulting another brown guy. Can you be serious? Did you honestly expect that to fly? Brad Walter was at the judicial hearing. He explains. We're two white boys, we're two honky boys, we're two older white guys talking about this. And so when a brown-skinned man calls another brown-skinned man a coconut or something like that on the field, and Leniu brought this up and says that he's been called those words in the past and hadn't taken any offence. So I just want to raise something that happened last year with the All Whites, and they walked off the field. I can't remember who they were playing, Bahrain or some team they were playing, and they walked off the field because the N-word was used. Now, the guy, and actually defaulted the game. Now, and in the end, the guy that heard that word or thought it was directed at him said he took no offence at that. The guy that said that came up with a reason or an excuse around the things that, hey, this is just how me and my mates talk. We're it's kind of that stupid LA rap scene, which is now just, infiltrated every aspect, it seems, of societal life. And so a lot of these guys turn around and they call themselves that, hey, N-word, and you and me doing that is a completely different set of circumstances, and we would be in a hell of a lot of trouble. Is there a case to be made, and I'm just asking the question that, these guys do use that language around each other. It is not as hurtful. It's almost like they own that word. Can that be brought into these arguments like Leniu attempted to do so?
No, I don't think so. And I think that the hearing last night, there was a lot of discussion around that, and I think ultimately the judiciary panel decided that there wasn't a mitigating circumstance. And I think it's sort of like you can say something and the person you say it to doesn't take offence to, but someone overhears it and they feel offended. And if it's about the colour of their skin or or their
sexuality,
sexual orientation,
something
or whatever,
like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it doesn't need to be directed to them. It comes down to how much, like, whether it actually hurts them. And if it hurts somebody, then if it's hurtful to somebody who heard it, even if it wasn't directed at them, even if they maybe thought it was directed to them or it was about them, then I think ultimately that's unacceptable and out of order. And that's why you need to be careful. People need to be careful about what they say. Yeah, it's all right to have a bit of banter amongst your mates at the pub or something. But if somebody else hears you say that and thinks that it's directed at them or is offended, then you've overstepped the mark and you find yourself in trouble. That's pretty much what happened in this case, I suppose. It's not what happened in this case. Like, there's no excuse for what he said. No. Full stop. But what he was trying to say was that, amongst his mates, they talk like that. They're all, his mates are Polynesian, and they talk like that to each other, and it's a joke. But as it was pointed out, Ezra is not your mate. It wasn't a joke. It was a derogatory comment that was made in the heat of the moment on the field, and it's absolutely unacceptable. And the case it was compared to was Marcelo Montoya from the Warriors.
Yeah, he got 4 weeks.
2 years ago, 4 weeks for a homosexual slur, and it was pointed out because the Roosters legal counsel James McLeod tried to say that was the benchmark, and compare it to that. It was pointed out that Kyle Felt didn't take any offence to that comment whatsoever, basically got up and played the ball, may have even been oblivious to it, but it was picked up on the referee's microphone and it was broadcast on the TV, and that was an offensive comment to people who were listening, may have or did take offence to that, and therefore that's why Marcelo Montoya got 4 matches for a homosexual slur. But Kyle Felt didn't, unlike Ezra Mam, Kyle Felt didn't feel that was a comment directed at him personally. He's not homosexual, and so therefore, that slur wasn't taken personally by him. Whereas obviously, Ezra Mam is Indigenous and felt that was a derogatory term made to him. Being called a monkey, which it absolutely is.
Brad Walter, NRL.com. Okay, final thing now is, as I said right at the start, this is the line in the sand from the NRL, and somebody has to pay the price, and it is Spencer Leniu. So you've got 8 weeks now, okay, and so that just sends the signal. This is unacceptable. This is what you're going to get. You're now missing a third of the season. You've let yourself down, you let your team down, you let your teammates down, and you're getting paid now not to play. And you're a very valuable asset to that side, and look what you've done. At the same time now, how is this going to affect or alter subsequent punishments about if I club a guy across the head, knock him senseless, knock his teeth out, one of those kind of tackles, and actually... So can we put all of this into the same melting pot, or are these kind of things, as what is said, different from actual physical on-field behaviour? What I'm trying to get to here is, has the NRL really made a rod for their backs here? So if you have another go at the referee like Reece Walsh did and call him a cheating C, does that now elevate those weeks if you did that? If you do something horrendous on the field in terms of physically injuring another player with a swinging arm or something like that, is this punishment now going to be a benchmark for all of that kind of stuff?
No, I think so. There's prescribed penalties for most offences, and particularly for I suppose violent play or foul play. So there's prescribed penalties for those, and there's no suggestion that they're going to change it, that they're going to move. Whereas in this case, it was referred to the judiciary the whole incident was examined, and obviously the motive, the motives, the intent, the injury or the hurt felt by Ezra Mam, and all of that was all part of the evidence, and that the remorse shown by Spencer Leniu, that was all taken into consideration by the judiciary panel, who then had to come up with a penalty, which and obviously that was suggested to them by the Roosters 4 matches, by the NRL prosecutor 8 matches, which was ultimately accepted. So I think that's a totally different set of circumstances. As I said, the judiciary code has prescribed penalties for foul play and for most incidents, so it's only sort of in the most extreme or the worst cases or ones that effectively fall outside of what we usually see week to week that get referred to the judiciary. So if we see a really bad tackle or incident like that, it will be referred to the judiciary, and then the panel it will then have the option and are likely to impose a heavier suspension than the prescribed ones. But week to week, no, we're not going to see any change. And I think this is a pretty rare case. We don't see, fortunately, we don't see or hear of a lot of racism in the game these days. And I think that's why such a heavy penalty was imposed on Spencer Leniu as well, because it doesn't happen very often anymore. The NRL's been pretty successful at wiping it out. They've got a really good track record in terms of supporting Indigenous and Pacifica players in particular. And here's a case where where somebody has offended. Doesn't, as I said, doesn't happen often, but when it does, the NRL, as I said, needs to has done and needs to come down hard.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, Lachlan. When the bell, we on to the next one. Who wins the title race from here? Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal. We're going to deal with this tomorrow. We're going to go to correspondence from all 3 clubs. But just tell me right now, with 10 games to go, you've looked at the fixture list. Spencer Leniu, 8 weeks. Is that too much? We've talked about it a little bit. I think we both agree that the NRL had to do this. Daryl Mitchell's comments. Did he really mean it when he said that they don't play for results and outcomes? I don't believe that he did mean that. I believe that was just a pre-programmed answer that had just came out of his mouth. I think if you actually sat down with him, he'd say something different. Maybe I'm putting words in Daryl's mouth. The new Warriors PA guy. Now, he's attracting as much, I'm not going to call it abuse, I'm calling it negative comment, as the roving reporter guy that TVNZ use at the cricket. Felipe Massa is now suing F1 over the 2008 Grand Prix at Singapore when he says cost him a title. Does JP get a Joshua rematch? We've got lots to talk about. Let's start with Spencer Leniu, because we're going to be dealing with this throughout the afternoon. We'll take your texts on it. We'll take your calls on it. 8 weeks. It's the kind of thing that divides opinion. I understand that. I'm not sure the NRL had any other place to go here apart from what they've done. Spencer Leniu, if you heard from Brad Walter before, 2 o'clock, whoever his legal team is, sack them. Because if they have convinced him that the best defence is to say, I'm brown, therefore I can racially abuse another brown person, well, you're just morons. That was never going to fly. There's no way the NRL could say, oh, that's okay then. Only 1 week. They were looking to give you the big slap, and you gave them the opportunity to give you the big slap. I'm just hoping that the guy learns his lesson from here, because if he doesn't learn his lesson from here, go and get a job doing something else, mate. The reality is, you said F off, you monkey. You chose the word monkey, whether you did it deliberately or whether it just came out your mouth, but you chose that word because you were insulting him. You weren't being cheeky, you weren't being banter. You could have used F-wit, you could have used whatever. You chose monkey because you were making a reference to that guy. Not any other player, that guy.
Now, put yourself in the shoes of someone around Spencer Leniu's age, which is similar to mine. I think he's slightly younger than me. So it's anywhere between that sort of 18 to 30 male range, where you're still kind of a young man. Like, even when you're 27, 28...
No, you are a young man.
You're not
young and dumb, mate.
Yeah, you're young and dumb. You're still really learning. You're still growing up.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. That bit's okay.
Yeah. So when you're in these interactions with people, let's say with a couple of mates or whatever, things get heated, or you're clashing with someone else, whether it's within sport or whatever, when you're having a go at each other, there's common phrases or common words you're going to use. You just said the word F-word. That's a common one. You know, I don't know, you're a-hole or something. There's common words or phrases you'll use to insult other men. Monkey's not one of them.
No.
That is not a common phrase for anyone to use to insult another person unless it is racially infused. So that's one thing I've thought as well, that's a default mechanism for you.
How many times do you hear that? You only hear
that's
that
the thing,
when
you
somebody
don't.
is racially
Like if I'm
abusing
having a
somebody.
crack at someone, I'm really annoyed. I have my selection of 5, 6, 7 words that I'll call them. Not one of them is monkey or anything of that nature. And if you are saying that on the field in sort of the heat of the moment and in the middle of battle like that, that's a default mechanism. You're not sort of sitting there going, I'm going to think of a word. It's just a default thing. So clearly, there's something within his nature to call someone monkey when he sees a darker skin.
That's it.
Which is doubly really a shame because he's a man of colour as well.
And then the way that he used this as his defence argument was just you'd lost from the moment that you decided that was your strategy.
Yeah, and then his cousin with that stupid thing on Instagram.
Well, again, and
John Hopewadi weighed in.
Exactly.
And Anthony Mundine did.
If you didn't know what his cousin did, his cousin put up a Instagram post saying, we've upset the whole tribe with a couple of monkey emojis and a laughy. I mean, hello? Really? So this is who your bros are. Well, good, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with those guys over the next 8 weeks, so maybe you can convince them that perhaps a mindset change is needed. Spence. Daryl Mitchell's comment. Daryl Mitchell saying results and outcomes don't matter. This, of course, is yet another clickety-clickbait kind of story. I understand why it is. I also fully understand a guy like Daryl Mitchell has... Look, the personality gets programmed out of the New Zealand cricket players. We've all seen it and we've all noticed it. It's been really evident, especially with Kane Williamson's captaincy. What does the guy say apart from learnings, takings? What else does he never says anything else, right? You get zero out of them. These guys have been trained that don't give the media anything, don't say anything. And that's what I think has happened with Daryl. Those players in the privacy of that dressing room, as Simon Doull was saying to us earlier, they would be as gutted as we are. They knew they threw that away. They knew they had a chance to create and make history. Generational history, Lachlan. 31 years since we've beaten them here. 13 years since we've beaten them at all. You go down forever in New Zealand cricketing folklore if you win that test match. They threw it and they blew it. And so I don't believe for a second that he genuinely thinks, it's okay, we're just here to make the kids laugh and have fun and watch us play, great friendly cricket. Bollocks. You're there to win, mate.
Yeah, I agree. I can't imagine that an athlete actually doesn't want to win. No,
so I'm defending Daryl on that. I understand he said it. I understand that perfectly. But also, they're so straitjacketed and confined by the PR schmuckers that surround them. And look, I know a lot of the guys who work in communications in New Zealand cricket, they're great guys, but just let them be who they are for 5 minutes. How cool would it have been, Lachlan, if he had sat down with Smithy and Coney yesterday with his head in his hands just going, oh, God, this is going to last a long time. I feel absolutely crap about this, We had the bastards in our hands. I know that that's what he's thinking. I don't know him, but I know that that's what he's thinking.
Well, also, when you think about Daryl Mitchell, he's not a Tom Latham or a Kane Williamson or a Tim Southey. We're on the pitch, they show pretty much no emotion, and when they're behind the camera and behind the mic, they show no emotion. Daryl Mitchell is a little bit more like
more real.
Neil Wagner and Glenn Phillips, where they show that raw feeling when they're playing.
Ben Sears showed it yesterday.
Ben Sears, Matt Henry did as well when he bowled out. I think it was a Cam Green or he bowled someone out.
They feel it, these guys.
Yeah, so,
but they're not allowed to say it. New Zealand cricket just release them a little bit.
Yeah, there's no point. I mean, you're just banging a drum and you're banging on the door. No one's opening it up. There's no point in suggesting that.
Howling at the moon again,
but the point is that I can't imagine that Daryl Mitchell is someone who actually doesn't care about winning.
Absolutely.
I think
that's the point you're making. Yeah, and look, and that's why I'm standing by Daryl and sticking by Daryl and saying, Daz, I still want you to be New Zealand captain. Who wins the title from here? 10 games to go. Goal difference in a point separate Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal. In my mind, the key here is the overcrowded fixture list. Lachlan, we go into an international, and there's just infernally frustrating international breaks in the next week or so. Man City are going to be playing Champions League all the way through to the final unless something absolutely outrageous happens, right? So they've got all of those extra fixtures, big-time fixtures, and they're going to have to play every 3 or 4 days. Liverpool have got the
Europa League.
Okay. And I should know what that is since we play it every year. And you're already in the next round, so you've at least got another couple of fixtures, plus you've got the FA Cup as well. So Arsenal they're out of the FA Cup, but they've got the
Champions League.
They've got the Champions League tomorrow, and if they lose that, they're gone from that as well.
Yeah.
I think it could come down to that. come down to who has to play the most fixtures between now and the end of the year. Because that's when games like away at Wolves become an absolute tripwire for you. When you come away out of Europe, you had a toughie, you know, and that's where you drop points.
Well, that's what killed us a couple of years ago when we were going for the quadruple, is that we just had all these games.
Yeah.
We were playing twice a week, sometimes even 3 times a week in the last month of the season, and our results just started to falter at the end. And it happened a little bit to City. Was it
a couple of years back when they lost to Chelsea in the European Cup final? Was that the year?
Yeah, because they'd already done the domestic treble. But even the year before, not the year before that, the year that they were first with 98, Liverpool was second with 97. I still sort of think if they'd stayed, because they got knocked out of the Champions League in the quarters a little bit earlier than us, I still think if they'd stayed in it right until the end, then they might have slipped up at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe we would have. I don't know. Anyway, I agree with you. I agree with you absolutely. I think this is wishful thinking than anything because I'm a Liverpool fan. I'd like to think Klopp would not purposely lose, but is going to pretty much play a B/C team for the Europa League from here on out.
Yes,
don't play your starters.
It doesn't matter.
Our best centre back next to Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, got injured on Friday because he played in this Europa League match, which we won 5-1. You know, so that probably hurt us in our ability to hopefully beat Man City, which we didn't in the end.
Well, your defensive lapse cost you a goal early, mate.
It did. That probably would have happened if Konate was there anyway, because we tend to do that on set pieces. But Arsenal, I mean, based on the fixture list, you'd have to lean towards Arsenal because I mean they've got support on the Champions League, but they're down on aggregate 1-0. So who knows? They might get knocked out then, but they won't go on and win it. I don't think they're good enough. So maybe by default, you have to say Arsenal should be the favourites, right? Because they're going to have less fixtures. I still think Man City though.
The new Warriors PA. We've been in discussions today with somebody who works with the Warriors, and the Warriors have decided that with the new crowd and the new audience and the new Instagram focus that they've got a brand new PA announced, and he's a young guy who's really enthusiastic.
Be nice.
Okay.
He's a kid. Okay. Pretty much.
So what the Warriors need to do is just lighten it up, lessen it up, pull it back a little, and stop trying to tell the crowd how to behave. I'm not hacking the young man here, but he's obviously under instruction. You don't need somebody at the Warriors yelling, "Oh, say up there, you say what." You don't need this rubbish, okay? It's not a basketball game where the commentator is part of the game full time. Defense. It's not that. The Up the Waz movement has organically grown. If you start telling people when they have to chant and what they have to chant, you are going to just frustrate and upset a lot of fans is what you're going to do. Just let it be and let it breathe. Is that the advice?
Yeah, just don't go overboard. Just relax.
Yeah,
just chill out. You don't need to force anything.
You aren't the entertainment. The entertainment is happening on the field.
Let the fans do it. Let the fans worry about it. If it gets to a point where now the team is losing by a lot, maybe
you razz it up a little.
Yeah. But give it space. Don't say anything every 5 minutes.
That's it. You don't have to pump it every 5 minutes. Just ease it on the brakes a little.
Yeah. Just do something simple like.
This kid apparently is copping it, which is really unfortunate.
So something like Warriors every 15, 20 minutes.
There you go.
Maybe even less than that.
Okay. The other thing is TVNZ's roving reporter, right, who is just so...
Your best friend.
Well, he's just surplus to requirements. I don't know this guy, but what is the point of you being there exactly? Yes, obviously, Television New Zealand seem to think they've got to add a comedy element or a wacky guy or a funster to it. It's sport. Again, the entertainment is happening in front of you. Stop trying to contrive the entertainment. This guy in the end, it was embarrassing on the weekend. He'd run out of hot dogs to talk about. He was getting kids to slide down on bits of car. Just stop it, mate. Okay? Just stop it.
It's, isn't it better to just sort of mimic what they do in rugby or mimic what they used to do with, was it Tony Gregg on the Channel 9 broadcast where you have someone down there kind of offering something different but something different cricketing-wise? Like, why would you have a bloke who's just going around the crowd?
Well,
with all due respect, I don't give a toss what's going on in the crowd.
We're watching cricket.
I don't care about what jokes you can make with your keys.
No, it's just honestly, it's boring. It's tired. It adds zero. That's the point. It adds nothing. Finally, your F1. Felipe Massa is suing.
Felipe.
Whatever. He's suing them over a 2008 crash. I want him to go through with this. I really do. Because I love it when F1 are under the microscope. And this is just so silly. It's a crash that happened at Singapore, which he said was deliberately caused, so he didn't get points. And in the end, he lost in Brazil when he should have won that Grand Prix in his home crowd. And Lewis Hamilton came around the back and passed Glock, who was slowing down because his tyres weren't working or some bollocks, and Lewis Hamilton won it, right? Has he got a hope in hell, Philippe Massa, up against F1, the Liberty Group and their lawyers? No, he doesn't.
It's, look, you can never, it's the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix where it was believed that one of the Renault drivers, Nelson Piquet, crashed on purpose to then get his teammate Fernando Alonso based on a safety car and then a pit strategy to get him to the front of the race. And,
well, he probably did.
And Massa,
He probably did, mate. That's what they used to do in F1.
I know. It's what they probably still do as well. Things go on like that. I mean, Ferrari. So Massa drove for Ferrari at the time and drove for them
Michael
for about
Schumacher
7 times in total.
drove his teammate off the track.
Yeah. Like, things like this go on. But you were on a team who were guilty of it at different points as well. You probably yourself were guilty of it at different points. The thing is, you can't sit there and say, 16 years later, give me the title because I deserve it. You can't do that, because after that race, there was still another 6, 7, 8 Grand Prix left that season.
Right.
Hey, you could have won a race when you came second and end up winning the title, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe McLaren and Hamilton do differently on that final weekend in Brazil if the gap is bigger or you actually have a points lead and they go on and win the race. I don't know. Like, you can't sit there and play around with hypotheticals.
Breakers owner Matt Walsh joined us on the program today out of Texas. He's owned the team for 6 years, had plenty of ups and downs during that time. Of course, got to the finals last year. Well, we've had seasons where the team has been the worst as well. How to retool, because that's what the Breakers have to do every year. They've got to get a whole lot more imports. And is Modi the man? Matt, with his post-season thoughts on the Breakers. You've had a bit of time just to breathe, to look back. How do you assess it in terms of success, in terms of what you wanted to achieve at the outset?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange season, and coming off of last season when we were, 3.5 minutes away from a championship. This was my sixth season as owner of the Breakers, and I think I've said it after all 6 that with a team and an organization like the Breakers and the history that we have, unless you win a championship and you're, celebrating at a ring ceremony, it feels like a failure. But, that being said, I'm very proud of what we achieved this year, given the circumstances. And, every team deals with injuries. Last year, we were largely healthy. We made the finals. This year, we dealt with significant injuries to all of our imports, including 2 guys having season-ending injuries. Our key locals, Finn and Will, dealing with injuries. And, I'm proud of the staff. I'm proud of the commercial team. And, we shift pretty quickly from, okay, it's disappointing, the season's over, to the next day. All right, how do we build for next year? And I think we did a really good job. Last year we had 3 of the best imports in the league. We had to replace them all. That's the nature of our business. When you come and play well for the Breakers, and Jarrell Brantley gets offered $1 million in Japan, and we had to retool. And I think this year we had the best, import trio in the entire league. We did well. And, now the focus is building from the start. So while it's always disappointing to not end the season on a win, onwards and upwards, and we're already preparing for next season.
Yeah, a lot to process here, but I'll tell you what I like. I like hearing the fact that you are disappointed. I can feel it in your voice as well. We just lost a cricket test to Australia yesterday, and one of the most frustrating things is one of the New Zealand players afterwards saying, oh, look, we're not defined by results, we're not defined by outcomes. Now, I don't know, whether or not that was lost in translation, but first and foremost, you're playing professional sport to win, right? To win, that's the point. And when you don't win, it's got to bloody hurt, mate. There has to be a period there where you sit there and you sulk about it.
I just got goosebumps thinking when I heard that, because while I can say that I'm proud, of what we achieved in terms of our resilience, that doesn't one bit mute the disappointment that we have losing in the play-in tournament. I was there in Illawarra, came down to the wire. We make some free throws. You never know what happens. But yeah, I'm heartbroken. I mean, this is year 6. I think one of the things that made me successful as a player and has made me successful as a businessman is I'm so competitive. I want to win everything, for whatever that means. Ping pong in the office, shooting competition, and that certainly, I think that our whole team feels that. And I can just give you a little anecdote. After the game in Illawarra, we brought some beers up for the guys, some wine, and everyone's kind of sitting around. And me and Modi were in the corner talking with his phone up, looking at all the free agents that there are for locals around the league, talking about imports.
Yeah.
So we were immediately, I think part of the staff thought we were nuts, but there's a moment to reflect on the season, and that has to be quick. Yes, it hurts. It'll hurt all off season. I'm still hurting from last year's Game 5 of the finals, if we're being honest. But there's no doubt. I mean, we're ultra competitive, and it's not going to stop until we win multiple championships. Because once we win one, I can tell you the celebration will last the night, and then we'll be on to the planning. So win, lose, or draw, you have to feel it, and then you start preparing for the next game, the next day, the next season.
Matt Walsh, owner of the Breakers, is with us. Modi's still the guy, and how important is he to you?
Yes, 100%. He's the guy. I think that what Modi's been able to do, I think that this year was just as important and successful in terms of a coaching job by our staff as it was last year. Last year we were very healthy, and Modi did a great job in year one. This year we had to balance a lot of different things, and he did a great job. I think most importantly, he's a good leader. The players believe in him. I certainly believe in him, and he'll certainly be back next year. And if it's up to me, he'll be around for a long time.
Yeah, just in terms of the fan base, of keeping fans excited, of packing out that arena, it wasn't exactly the same as it was last year. We love winners. Winners are grinners, and you know that when the team's winning, you are going to get a full house and things like that. So, again, what perspective do you apply to that? I know you love your Breakers Nations fans, but, winning brings more of them on board, doesn't it?
Of course. And I don't think that New Zealand's unique that way. I mean, certainly we felt it these last 6 years. The year before COVID, when we were the best team in the league, second half of the year, we were selling out. It was exciting this year when we got on that run and we had the must-win game, which ended up being Tom Abercrombie's final game, and we had that huge sellout at home. So, I think some owners and some executives look at it like the fans owe you something just for putting a team out there. I take the exact opposite approach in that we owe it to our fans to put a winning, exciting product out there. And I know for sure we provide great entertainment. I think that anyone who's come to a Breakers game would say that they really enjoy themselves. But like you said, winners are grinners. And, I look at it as, okay, we want to fill up Spark Arena. We want to have sellouts. Let's put a winning team out there. Let's start 5-0. Let's start 6-1. Let's be top of the table like we were last year and have a real chance to compete for a championship. And the rest takes care of itself.
Finally, you've been here, as you say, for 6 years. How much longer, mate? How much longer are you staying with us?
I can't see into the future, but what I can tell you is that I love it more year after year.
Awesome.
And I'm so competitive. I cannot believe that we're 6 years in and we haven't won a championship. So Breakers fans, I promise you, no matter how much you care, and I'm losing sleep over this all the time. I hate it. Modi hates it. Lisa, our CEO, Simon, our GM, everyone hates it. And what I can tell you is that, I'm in this for the long haul. Obviously, I'm based in the States now, but I love owning the Breakers. And, sometimes I read about rumors that we're going to be sold, and that's always news to me because, Breakers are not for sale. And I love being the owner of the Breakers. And I just can't see myself, doing anything else for the foreseeable future.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. LBP, let's be positive. Our man from Twizel, Matt Gunn. What a summer they're having. Here's a guy that said, I want global warming. Well, you're getting it. It was 29 degrees in March yesterday in Twizel. Matt Gunn, talking positive about the Black Caps. Hey, it wasn't... okay. Talking positive about the Warriors and his... doggies. Yeah, that's right. Talking positive at least about Super Rugby because it has been really, 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 really good watching in the last 3 weeks. He's always positive, and he's from Twizel. Let's start with the bloody cricket because the Black Caps have blown an absolute opportunity there. Not just that test, I believe the series as well. The big Australian cricket bogeyman was there for the taking, mate.
Cameron Green in the first test turned things around and changed the entire match. And I thought that Henry had secured the second test for the Black Caps. At no point until the final runs were scored yesterday did I think we were a certainty to win. There were times when I thought we were. There were times when I certainly thought we were gone. And when Sears came on yesterday and took 2 in 2 balls, I messaged you and said yours to lose.
Yeah.
Next minute we're hitting the winning runs. There'll be long discussions around that, and I'm not sure whether they were one really good bowler away from winning it. There was obviously very little in the pitch for spin. You needed pace and seamers and bounce. Maybe they needed another bowler, but I tell you what, close. But after how many years, Martin? 31?
Yeah.
Still no cigar. It's your Bledisloe, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's psychological as much as anything else because opportunities are there. I agree with you. Poor bowling selections. Green's knock in Wellington, the difference between the two teams. When we have had the opportunities, and it comes back, mate, to that first T20 where you needed 34 or 35 off 2 overs, we should have slammed the door in your face. We had opportunities during the Test series to do exactly the same, and we just are incapable of owning those moments, and we let you wriggle off the hook. Frustrating also, and I hope it's not taken out of context, but Daryl Mitchell interviewed by Sen's Radio afterwards, and he's come out with a quote which is just getting absolutely lambasted now all over social media, which is, we're not defined by results, we're not defined by outcomes. A couple of things here. New Zealand cricket have straitjacketed these players so much that I actually feel that they are just pre-programmed now, that they've got about 3 or 4 responses to every question. It's the Kane Williamson, we're taking the learnings and learning the takings kind of thing. What I wanted from Daryl yesterday, and I love this guy as a player and I want him to be a captain, Matt, is I want to see a New Zealand cricketer sitting there with his head in his hands at the press conference going, I'm effing gutted. I'm spewing. We blew that. We had them and we blew it. And I'm sorry, New Zealand cricket fans, because you should be celebrating a goddamn win. This one's going to hurt a while. I don't want to see somebody smiling and saying, we just want the kids to know that we play great cricket and I'm off to a $2 million IPL contract. That's why I'm bitter and twisted.
I would be too. And I agree with you 100%. Pat Cummins after the match, you could see how much it meant to him. He couldn't stop talking about pulling off the win. He knew how close it was. There's none of this, we would have been happy with a second place in this one and New Zealand deserved it. They got out there and they got the job done. They gutsed it out. There were players that just put their hand up when they needed to, and it was Alex Carey in this second Australian innings. He was probably the defining moment, or his score 98 not out. But they were delighted with the win. And yet to try and convince people that they should come and watch you when results aren't important to them, it just seems mind-blowing. And that
it's
is
just
management.
crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
It's got to be management.
Well, it is
I
management,
want to know they want to win.
Let's be positive about your Highlanders, though, mate. One great thing about the Super Rugby this year, and I've really enjoyed watching it, I must admit, it's got better every week. The referees aren't involved. The TMO's not involved. I mean, aside from the Hurricanes Poua thing, which I don't even want to bring up. Why did I even mention that? But the actual Super Rugby itself, there's been some cracking upsets. Crusaders 0-3, the whole world celebrating that if you're not from Canterbury. Hurricanes top of the table. I've got to be happy with that. But, mate, I just think that, now they've got to actually get this competition and start marketing it in the right way to get people back to watching it. Because the quality of the rugby, Matt, has been bloody great.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the Highlanders. They've been a bit of a surprise packet for me. They actually look like, whilst it is a bit of a building year again, every year is in Otago, it seems, this year they actually could throw up some very good competition in some tight spots. I'm not going to predict anything about where we'll finish. We've been there or thereabouts, nowhere the last few seasons, but I have been pretty impressed with what I've seen so far. You're dead right, Marty. It's a rebuilding phase for Super Rugby. I have enjoyed it more so this season. But again, getting people there.
Yeah,
it costs so much to get it on. It's not as simple as saying we'll drop the ticket prices because, quite honestly, we talked about how much it costs to put a game on last year when they threw out figures of how many people were and weren't going. Every game was practically losing money. So filling stadiums is a fair way away again. But if the quality of competition remains high and they get rid of the current management at the New Zealand Rugby Union, I think maybe they will be in with a shot.
That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.